Hollywood loves transformation stories, but not just on screen. Behind every Oscar-winning performance, every haunting scene, and every unforgettable character, there's often a real human being who's pushed their body and mind far beyond the limits of comfort. For some actors, it isn't enough to simply pretend. They vanish into their roles so completely that the line between actor and character starts to blur. And sometimes, that transformation doesn't just change their career, it changes their life. From Christian Bale's skeletal descent in The Machinist, to Matthew McConaughey's shocking weight loss in Dallas Buyers Club, to Joaquin Phoenix's haunting metamorphosis in Joker, these are stories of obsession, control, and sacrifice. But transformation isn't always about losing weight. Sometimes it's about breaking expectations, like Charlize Theron, who abandoned glamour to become a terrifying serial killer and monster, or Jared Leto, who risked his health to embody John Lennon's killer in Chapter 27. And then there's Russel Crowe, who chose to gain weight, not for spectacle, but for subtlety, in Body of Lies, showing that authenticity doesn't always come with a six-pack. Each of these performances came with a cost, physical, emotional, and psychological. Yet, in chasing perfection, these actors gave audiences something unforgettable: truth. This is the story of how far Hollywood's most dedicated stars will go to disappear into their characters, and the shocking transformations that prove that sometimes the greatest special effect in film isn't digital, it's human. Few transformations in Hollywood are as haunting or as shocking as Christian Bale's for The Machinist. When audiences first saw Bale as Trevor Resnick in the 2004 psychological thriller, they could hardly believe their eyes.
Don't look!
His body looked skeletal, frail, and ghost-like, a man consumed by guilt, insomnia, and madness. But that haunting look wasn't a trick of lighting or makeup. It was real. For this role, Bale dropped an estimated 60 pounds, shrinking from a healthy athletic frame to around 120 pounds. His appearance was so extreme that many crew members were disturbed just being around him on set. Every bone in his body was visible. His face was hollow. His arms were barely more than skin stretched over bone.
Look nasty.
The weight loss became a story of legend. Bale's dedication went far beyond method acting. It was a total physical transformation that bordered on dangerous. He followed a near-starvation diet, consuming only minimal calories per day for months on end. His daily life revolved around maintaining the frailty of Trevor Resnick, a man trapped inside his own decaying body and mind. What's even more remarkable is that The Machinist was shot on a modest budget, with limited resources and minimal fanfare. There was no massive studio oversight, no personal chef or trainer guiding his every move. Bale made the transformation largely on his own, driven purely by his desire to bring the character to life. When the film released, audiences and critics were stunned. Many wondered if the performance was too real, too raw. But it worked. Bale's physical transformation wasn't just impressive, it was essential to the story. It made the character's mental unraveling believable. You could see the pain, the exhaustion, and the obsession etched into every frame of his body. But the toll was immense. Doctors later confirmed that his extreme weight loss carried serious health risks. Yet, astonishingly, within a few months, Bale had to bulk up again, this time to play Batman in Batman Begins. He went from skeletal to superhero, regaining over 100 pounds in record time. That swing, from emaciated to muscular, became symbolic of Bale's career itself. Total commitment, no matter the cost.
I mean, he went from totally geek to totally chic.
His transformation for The Machinist remains one of the most talked about in film history, a benchmark for dedication and a stark reminder that behind every unforgettable role, there's often a very real sacrifice. Nearly a decade later, Matthew McConaughey shocked the world with a transformation of his own. Known for his charm, his bright smile, and his romantic comedy physique, McConaughey turned heads in 2013 when he appeared in Dallas Buyers Club. For this film, he played Ron Woodruff, a Texas electrician diagnosed with AIDS in the 1980s, a man fighting for survival in an era when treatment options were scarce and stigma was rampant. To accurately portray a man dying from disease, McConaughey had to look the part, gaunt, sickly, and frail. He lost nearly 50 pounds for the role, reshaping his body into something unrecognizable. His face was sharp and sunken. His once strong frame looked frail and tired. Yet his energy on screen, that spark that had always defined him, was still there, now channeled into something darker and more desperate. The transformation wasn't just physical. It marked a turning point in McConaughey's career. Up to that point, he'd been known primarily for lighthearted roles and easygoing charm. But Dallas Buyers Club showed the world that he could do more, that he was capable of depth, vulnerability, and fearless authenticity.
I'm serious!
To reach that level of realism, McConaughey followed an extremely strict routine. He consumed minimal calories, carefully tracked his weight, and prepared mentally for the exhaustion that would come with the transformation. His commitment to accuracy paid off. Audiences completely believed that Ron Woodroof was wasting away before their eyes. The performance earned McConaughey the Academy Award for Best Actor. But beyond the trophy, it redefined him. The McConaughey had begun, a resurgence in his career that led to roles in True Detective, Interstellar, and The Wolf of Wall Street. McConaughey's transformation wasn't about shocking the audience. It was about serving the story. It was a physical expression of empathy, allowing him to step inside the experience of a man who refused to give up, even as his body failed him. It's one thing to act the part of someone dying. It's another to look and feel it, to let your own body tell the story. That's what McConaughey achieved in Dallas Buyers Club, and it's why his performance remains one of the most powerful of the decade. Transformation isn't always about losing weight. Sometimes it's about shedding beauty, stripping away glamour to reveal something raw, painful, and disturbingly real. Few actors have done that more completely than Charlize Theron in Monster. Before Monster, Theron was known for her elegance and classic Hollywood beauty. She was a model-turned-actress with a radiant screen presence. But in 2003, she took on the role of Aileen Wuornos, a real-life serial killer executed in Florida after a series of murders. To embody Wuornos, Theron had to vanish completely into a woman broken by trauma, poverty, and rage. The transformation was physical, psychological, and total. She gained nearly 30 pounds, drastically altered her posture, and worked with makeup artists to completely change her appearance. Her flawless complexion was covered in blotchy, uneven texture. Her eyebrows were thinned and reshaped. Her teeth were artificially stained. Her skin was made to look sun-damaged, leathery, and exhausted. Theron also adopted the body language and vocal rhythm of Wuornos, slumped shoulders, unsteady gait, erratic movements. When the film premiered, audiences were stunned. Many didn't recognize her.
Shut your mouth!
The performance was raw, brutal, and empathetic. She didn't glamorize Wuornos, nor did she excuse her crimes. Instead, she portrayed a complex woman shaped by years of abuse, isolation, and desperation. Her commitment paid off. Theron won the Academy Award for Best Actress, joining the ranks of performers who risked their physical and emotional health for authenticity. What makes Theron's transformation in Monster stand out is that it wasn't about conforming to Hollywood's ideals of beauty or perfection. It was the opposite. It was about rejecting those ideals completely. She used her own appearance as a canvas to show something society doesn't want to see: the ugliness of pain, the cost of survival, the human beneath the monster.
Yeah, well, at least I'm not ugly.
Charlize Theron's Monster remains a masterclass in transformation, a reminder that true acting isn't about looking good on camera. It's about disappearing into truth, no matter how uncomfortable it might be. When Joker was announced, few could have predicted just how far Joaquin Phoenix would go to bring the character to life. Known for his intensity and complete immersion in every role, Phoenix had already built a reputation as one of Hollywood's most fearless performers. But in 2019, he took that reputation to another level, delivering a performance so raw and unnerving that it would redefine what a comic book movie could be. To embody Arthur Fleck, a struggling stand-up comedian who slowly unravels into madness, Phoenix knew the transformation couldn't just be emotional. It had to be physical. Arthur's pain, isolation, and desperation had to live in his body. And so, he began a strict, medically monitored regimen that led to a weight loss of more than 50 pounds. The goal wasn't to look fit or dramatic. It was to look fragile, to let his body tell the story of a man fading from existence. Every rib, every sharp bone, every concave angle became part of the narrative. His physicality became as expressive as his dialogue. Phoenix's diet was simple, painfully simple. For months, he survived primarily on an extremely limited intake that reportedly consisted of little more than apples, lettuce, and steamed green beans. Every calorie was measured. Every meal felt like an act of discipline. The starvation wasn't reckless. It was precise, guided by professionals to ensure he could sustain it long enough to complete filming safely. But even under supervision, it was grueling.
Are you sure you won't have something to eat?
The deprivation affected everything: his sleep, his focus, his mood. The absence of food left him lightheaded, detached, and deeply introspective, which only deepened his connection to the character. The hunger became part of the performance. It made him move differently, slow, deliberate, almost cautious, as though his body might collapse under the weight of its own emptiness. When filming began, that fragility transformed into something hypnotic. Phoenix's movements were angular and unpredictable, his posture hunched and defensive, his laughter sharp and painful. His entire body spoke before his mouth ever did. Audiences could feel the strain in every scene, not just emotional, but physical. Arthur Fleck didn't just seem broken, he was broken from the inside out. As production continued, the lack of energy became both a challenge and a gift. Phoenix used the weakness to fuel Arthur's instability. The exhaustion, the tremors, the subtle hesitations, they weren't rehearsed. They were real. What emerged was one of the most chillingly authentic portrayals of mental decay ever captured on film.
Are you crazy?
The result was unforgettable. Joker became a global phenomenon, earning Phoenix an Academy Award for Best Actor and solidifying his place among the greats. But when the cameras stopped rolling, the consequences of that transformation lingered. Gaining the weight back wasn't instant, and his body needed time to recover from months of deprivation. In interviews after the release, Phoenix spoke about how the experience changed his relationship with food, discipline, and identity. Losing that much weight had forced him into a kind of tunnel vision, one that mirrored Arthur Fleck's own isolation. It wasn't just a performance, it was an immersion into emptiness. Joaquin Phoenix's transformation for Joker stands as a powerful reminder of how far actors will go to find truth on screen. His physical change wasn't for shock value or publicity. It was part of the storytelling, a living, breathing symbol of loneliness and decay. In a world where most heroes grow stronger, Phoenix dared to grow weaker, showing us that sometimes the most haunting power lies in complete vulnerability. Long before superhero franchises and CGI transformations, one actor set the standard for total physical commitment. In 1987, Vincent D'Onofrio took on his breakout role in Stanley Kubrick's Full Metal Jacket, a film that remains one of the most unflinching portrayals of war ever captured on screen. D'Onofrio played Private Leonard Lawrence, better known as Private Pyle, a slow, overweight recruit relentlessly tormented by his drill instructor during Marine Corps boot camp. The role required him to represent the embodiment of vulnerability and despair, a man whose mental collapse would become one of the film's most haunting arcs. But there was one problem: D'Onofrio didn't look the part. Before filming, he was athletic and lean, with the build of someone far too fit to play an out-of-shape Marine recruit. So, under Kubrick's direction, he did the unthinkable. He gained 70 pounds, the most any actor had ever gained for a movie role at that time. The transformation was immediate and drastic. In just a few months, D'Onofrio went from 200 pounds to nearly 270. His face rounded, his movements slowed, and even his posture changed. The extra weight made him feel physically uncomfortable, which, ironically, was perfect for the character. Every step felt heavy. Every scene carried the burden of that added mass. The transformation wasn't just about appearance, it was about immersion. D'Onofrio didn't just look like Private Pyle. He felt him. He understood the humiliation, the exhaustion, and the loss of control that came with being constantly berated and physically limited. That authenticity translated directly to the screen.
Stan's a loser! Stan's a loser!
But it came at a cost. The rapid weight gain caused D'Onofrio to struggle with knee and back pain throughout production. His body wasn't used to carrying the extra load, and the intense physical demands of Kubrick's direction, endless takes, long hours, and strict precision, made it even harder. When Full Metal Jacket premiered, audiences were stunned by the performance. D'Onofrio's portrayal of Private Pyle became one of the most memorable in film history, tragic, chilling, and heartbreakingly real. The transformation wasn't just visual, it was psychological. Viewers could feel the suffocating weight of isolation and mental collapse in every frame. The role catapulted D'Onofrio's career and earned him a reputation as one of Hollywood's most fearless method actors. But even he admitted that returning to his normal weight afterward took nearly a year of hard work and training. It wasn't just about shedding pounds, it was about reclaiming his health and balance after pushing his body to the limit. Vincent D'Onofrio's transformation for Full Metal Jacket remains a benchmark of dedication, proof that physical change can drive emotional truth. It's a reminder that sometimes the body becomes the bridge between an actor and their character, and that the heaviest roles often leave more than just an emotional mark. Some actors chase transformation as a challenge. For Jared Leto, it's an obsession. Over the years, he's become known for pushing his body to extremes, and nowhere was that more evident than in his haunting portrayal of Mark David Chapman, the man who murdered John Lennon, in the 2007 film Chapter 27. To embody the infamously unstable Chapman, Leto knew he had to disappear completely. The real-life Chapman was overweight, soft-spoken, and physically sluggish, a stark contrast to Leto's naturally lean and energetic frame. So, Leto made a radical decision. He would gain 60 pounds in just a few months to fully inhabit the role.
Just do it!
The process was as grim as it was methodical. To put on that much weight, Leto reportedly consumed thousands of calories a day, relying on a diet that revolved around unhealthy, heavy foods. But his most infamous method was what he called a microwaved concoction of ice cream and olive oil. It was a high-calorie mixture that allowed him to drink his meals, accelerating the weight gain process. The results were dramatic and unsettling. By the time filming began, Leto was nearly unrecognizable. His face had become bloated, his body swollen and sluggish. The transformation created a sense of heaviness and lethargy that perfectly matched the real Chapman's disconnection from reality. Every movement, every line of dialogue carried the burden of that physical discomfort. But the price of authenticity was steep. The rapid weight gain took a serious toll on Leto's body. He developed gout, a painful form of arthritis often triggered by excessive weight and poor diet. Walking became difficult, and he later admitted that the physical strain affected him long after production wrapped. When Chapter 27 premiered, reactions were mixed. Some critics praised Leto's dedication and chilling portrayal, while others found the film itself unsettling in tone. But regardless of the film's reception, one thing was undeniable: the transformation was extreme. It blurred the line between commitment and self-destruction. What makes Leto's story particularly fascinating is how his body became a vessel for isolation. Much like Mark David Chapman himself, Leto found that his physical change altered his social life and sense of identity. He described feeling cut off from the world, trapped in a body that no longer felt like his own. That psychological shift, that sense of detachment, translated into a performance that was both eerie and authentic. After filming, it took Leto over a year to lose the weight and return to his normal shape. The process was slow and difficult, forcing him to relearn healthy habits and rebuild his physical endurance. He later said it was one of the hardest experiences of his career, not just physically but mentally. Jared Leto's transformation for Chapter 27 remains one of the most shocking in modern film. It's a story of total immersion, of an actor willing to compromise his own health to find the truth inside a deeply disturbed mind. Whether or not the film itself became a classic, the performance remains a testament to the dangerous side of method acting, where the line between the character and the self becomes dangerously thin. In Hollywood, Russel Crowe has always been known for his intensity, a performer who brings raw, physical authenticity to every role. From the lean, muscular warrior in Gladiator to the calculating genius of A Beautiful Mind, Crowe's ability to transform himself has long been part of his reputation. But in 2008, for Ridley Scott's Body of Lies, he underwent one of his most surprising and least glamorous transformations. In this gritty spy thriller, Crowe played Ed Hoffman, a middle-aged CIA handler who spends most of his time orchestrating covert missions from behind a desk or a phone line. Unlike the rugged heroes Crowe was known for, Hoffman was sedentary, bureaucratic, and slightly out of touch, a man whose power came from manipulation, not muscles. To embody that, Crowe made the decision to gain weight. A lot of weight. Over the course of a few months, he gained roughly 60 pounds to play the part. But this wasn't a transformation of desperation, it was one of discipline. Crowe wasn't asked to do it. He chose to. He understood that Hoffman's physicality told a story all on its own. The extra weight wasn't just a costume, it was character development. As his body changed, so did his posture, his voice, and even his pacing. He moved with the confidence of a man who no longer cared about appearances, someone who had long traded field work for comfort, authority, and control. The physical transformation gave him an authenticity that couldn't be faked with padding or prosthetics. For Crowe, gaining the weight wasn't the hard part, it was living with it. He once described how it affected everything: his sleep, his energy, even his mood. Playing Hoffman wasn't physically demanding in the way Gladiator had been, but it was exhausting in its own way. Carrying the extra mass made him feel older, slower, and heavier, sensations that subtly bled into his performance. When Body of Lies hit theaters, audiences were stunned. Gone was the chiseled leading man of LA Confidential and Master and Commander. In his place stood a character so ordinary that he was almost unrecognizable, and that was exactly the point. Crowe had buried his vanity to serve the story, transforming himself into a believable government operative who looked like he lived behind a desk instead of on a battlefield. After production wrapped, losing the weight became another challenge. Crowe admitted that returning to his normal size took months of strict training and healthy eating. He'd gained and lost weight for other roles before, notably in The Insider and Cinderella Man, but Body of Lies marked a turning point. It wasn't just a transformation for show, it was a reflection of a deeper philosophy about acting, that truth lives in the details, even the unflattering ones. Russel Crowe's physical commitment to Body of Lies may not have been as extreme as Christian Bale's skeletal transformation or Jared Leto's dangerous weight gain, but it was just as impactful in its purpose. It showed that transformation isn't always about spectacle. Sometimes it's about subtlety. Sometimes it's about losing the movie star image entirely to find the character hidden underneath. In a career defined by power and precision, Crowe's decision to embrace imperfection was one of his boldest moves, a quiet but powerful reminder that authenticity doesn't always come with abs and heroism. Sometimes it comes with a few extra pounds and the courage to let go of vanity altogether. By the way, YouTube thinks you might like this video next.